Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of SpearCast, episode number 10, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm your host, Nick.
I'm Christian.
And we have an extremely special episode for the first time. We have an athlete on the podcast. We have Jiana Lawson, who is from the volleyball team.
Hi.
How are you doing today, Gianna?
I'm well. How are you?
We are doing pretty well. I mean, it's just an early in the morning, unfortunately, but you know what? It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The early bird gets the worm.
Exactly. All right, well, Gianna, the season didn't come to an end like as we all hoped, unfortunately. But, as of this recording, last night, you guys got that win in your final game of the season, at senior night at that. Like, how did that feel and, like, being able to, like, celebrate that?
It was a lot of fun. I think I saw a lot of character in a lot of different girls last night, and just the program in general, being able to come together for something so special like that. And so it was really good to be able to sit in that moment, see girls work hard for one another, do things that I hadn't seen them do before, and just kind of come together for that one special occasion. Obviously, it felt really good to pull out a win because it's not like we hadn't been working for it all season. We just didn't get it most of the time.
Yeah. And then obviously, just being able to, like, what was it, a 3-1 win?
Yes.
And, like, how was it, like, to get that even, like you said, like, getting, like, just celebrate that? Like, how was that,
Yes.
being able to, like, finally, like...
It was great. It was great. I think we went up 1-0, and then they kind of created some momentum at the end because we were up, like, 19-7 or something like that. So we were kind of destroying them. And so they kind of went on the run in the second set, but we were just determined. And I think it was nice to see all that determination pay off immediately in action so that we didn't have to force any extra sets. And I mean, we kind of came back at the end of the third and the fourth set to win those 2 sets. So it was like that adrenaline rush. So obviously it felt really good. And then when we finished, it was just like, oh, thank God. That was so much fun. And we don't have to deal with these girls anymore. Just get out of here so we can go home.
My next question is, how tough is it losing those seniors that aren't going to be here next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think losing Letty statistically and presence-wise is a big deal. I think also Yasmin Pit as well. I think Lauren she's like the little energy ball on the team. So we're definitely going to miss her, like having all of her fun, her joy, and like her shenanigans and stuff in the locker room. But I think more than that, we're just going to miss their presence. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't replace somebody's presence, but what they've left us with is a good example and a lot of standards for how to be selfless and how to set up successful programs and invest into people. So I think they'll be gone and they'll be missed, but their impact will still be felt. Yeah.
And then, one question that I had for you, just because, like it says on your profile, what made you choose San Jose State, like, over Portland? Like, what made you transfer?
Okay, so funny story. I actually got recruited by San Jose State out of high school, too. And I just told them no for financial reasons. And I went to the University of Portland on the assumption that I would get the same experience because I talked to the head coaches. Like, I talked to the first head coach that was Trent at the time, and I really loved him. Like, I was like, he's the coach to be. I don't really think I'm going to go to any other school. But then I was like, I don't really want to put my family under that financial duress right now. Like, we were going to have to pay for the first year, and we didn't have it. So I was like, I don't really want to do that. And then I got a full ride from Portland, and I was like, basically, I'm getting promised the same experience. One's in California, one's in Portland. I don't like the rain, but I'll suck it up, right? And so I was like, I'm going to go to Portland. And when I went to Portland, I learned that talk is cheap. Like, that was my first intro into the real world, where it was like, people are going to say things to get you to come there so that you can be a part of their program, even if they don't really mean it. So I obviously wouldn't wish COVID upon the world for anything, but I'm very grateful that I got an extra year out of that because I learned a lot about myself there. I learned a lot about God and really got established in my faith. And so what it came down to was that head coach was not willing to do what it took to win, and so I was like, I don't have time for that. And so that's really what made me decide to come to San Jose State. Trent texted me like 3 hours after I was in the portal, and I was like, who is this? And he was like, Trent, and I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And was that like a pretty quick decision for you in the transfer portal, or?
Yes, I mean, I think I was in for a day or two, and I had already talked to like 10 schools. Like, it was kind of overwhelming, but he was the only school that was like, yeah, I'll bring you out. Like, I'll bring you out in like the next 2 or 3 days if you're ready to come. So many schools were kind of like, we don't really know. Like, it's a lot of money. It's kind of late, da-da-da-da. And I was like, well, I am not gonna commit to another school and I haven't gone because I couldn't go to Portland because it was COVID. Like I couldn't visit, and I if I would have visited, I know I wouldn't have committed just because I would have been able to see the girls in real life and the coaches in real life. But I was like, I'm not going anywhere that I can't visit. Like that's a big deal for me at that point. And so when I came out, I was like, whoa, this school is huge, because that school's only like 5,000 undergraduate and graduate students, so it was small. And so I was like, this school is ginormous, and I always really wanted to go to a big school, and it freaked me out. Like it really scared me, because I was like, oh, this is everything I've ever said I ever wanted. It's gonna freak me out. There's so many people here, like I don't really know what to do. And so at that point I was just like, okay, like he showed me what he was about. He was very detailed. He had his business laid out. Like he told me what he wanted me to come and do, how he wanted me to contribute. And I was like, all right, bet. After I came out, I was like, okay, I'll come.
Was there anything that you remember specifically about the school that you liked, or is it just kind of like everything?
Oh, yeah. So I honestly, and this is no shade, no tea, I didn't like the coaches like that when I first came out. Like I wasn't convinced that those people were going to be the best fit for me, but they had everything else in order. And I talked about my faith a little bit, and that's the central part of my life. And one of the assistant coaches at the time introduced me right before it was time to have the talk on the last day, like were they going to offer you or they're not. They introduced me to Clay and Kelly Elliott, who lead Called Up, which is a campus ministry here. And it's for student athletes only. So and so I was freaked out because I really wanted to make the right decision by God, and I couldn't really, I didn't feel like this was it, because this is a very, I won't say urban, but it's very, it's a people's area, you know what I'm saying? And so I was like, well, maybe in my brain, I'm thinking maybe the right decision is to go to a faith-centered school, you know what I'm saying? And no judgment or anything, but that's just what I was thinking, because I wanted to honor God with my decision. And so I really loved the school, but I was torn because I was freaking out, because I was like, this doesn't seem like the right place. And so when I went to Called Up and I met Mama Kay and Clay and talked to them, and she prayed for me, and she just calmed me down. She was like, wherever you go, the Lord is going to be with you. And I knew that after she told me that, prayed for me, and that I would have that community, I was like, I'm coming here, because I didn't have that at Portland, and that made it 10 times harder, especially because I wasn't having a good time. We weren't winning at all, and the head coach wasn't doing anything that she said. It was much harder for me to cope with it. But I knew that even if we came here and we didn't win like we did last year, I would be okay, because I had people that were going to be in my corner and had background in stuff that I believed.
And are you still involved with that today?
Yes.
To this day?
Yes, I am. I'm the MC at Called Up now. So if you were to come, I kind of introduce everybody, do all the talk. We switch off with people now. I go one week and then 2 other people go the next week. But yeah, I'm there every Monday, and we're off this upcoming week because of Thanksgiving. But yeah, I'm always there. I love it.
Yeah, and then and just going back to obviously the sports side of things. How did it feel for you to finish in the regular season as one of the top 10 total blockers in the entire nation?
See, that was crazy. How I found out was we were going on a preseason trip that I was even up there, because first of all, I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know that they had them ranked throughout the season. And so I was walking by the conference room, and Amy was in there, and I heard her whisper my name, and then I heard her whisper the word block. I was like, what's she talking about? I have no idea what she's talking about. So we get to the airport and we sit down, we all have lunch, and so I'm like, let me just look it up. She said something about blocking, and I thought she said blocks per set. So I looked it up, and at that time I was 22nd in blocks per set, and I was like, oh, that's not bad, right? It's no big deal. And so I was like, oh, but there's another category, total blocks. And so I clicked on it, and it was this one girl from Colgate and then Jiana Lawson, and I was like, oh! I was like, oh my God. I was sitting next to my trainer, Ben. I was like, I'm going to start crying. I was like, are you kidding me right now? I just didn't expect to see my name right there. So that was really cool. I didn't know I had gotten off to that good of a start. You know what I'm saying? I knew I was blocking balls. I didn't know I was blocking that many balls. So I was like, this is crazy. So for the next month, I was just checking all the time. And I was they would post when I was number 2, but I was I was number 1 all weekend, and you didn't post when I was number 1. But it was really cool. I mean, I think I've worked really hard at blocking. Blocking is definitely the harder skill. it's one of the hardest skills, like when it comes to like all the things that have to do with volleyball. And so I worked really hard at it, and learning the split step last year with Trent really helped my game, because I blocked a lot of balls last year, but like Hi, Mom. Oh my gosh, I blocked a lot last year, but obviously not as many this year. But I think just settling in, last year I really settled in here at San Jose State with the help of Called Up and all that stuff, and then this year I settled in even more, so I guess it just kind of flew out of me.
Yeah, because like right now, you know, you're tied for 9th, but with 139.
Yeah.
Like how does that feel to like finish the regular season like at that?
I mean, it's great. I think all glory goes to God. I really love the sport, and I always have. And I knew that if I didn't love the sport, I couldn't come play at this level, because I would want to quit, like regardless of whether or not they were paying for my school. And so I think it's just really dope that I get that kind of national recognition, especially because I'm not a typical medal. Like, I'm not 6'7", I'm not 6'2", like I'm 5'10" with shoes on. So I think it's really great, and yeah, it's been pretty cool, honestly.
And then one thing I remember, when you guys were on the road for like that cool while, just playing those like back-to-back tournaments, like what was that like? Because I remember this one time I was interviewing Chris, and he mentioned you guys even had to like sleep in the airport one time.
Oh,
yeah.
let's
So
not even talk about that, dude. Okay. So last year too, we were on the road for like a month during preseason,
right.
And it happened where like we were supposed to come home, and then it was like that heat wave where it was like 100, and then the schools were like, we're not coming down there because they don't have AC in the gym, and we're scared that all the other like all the not the incomers, but the spectators, they're gonna like overheat and stuff like that. And we were like, bruh, are you serious? So we had to travel down there, and it was like the same thing this time. And it was worse because we were playing 2 games in a day. Like, in club, you play 3 games in a day, but it's best out of 3, you know what I'm saying? And you're playing at a high level, but not like this. Like, you spend the whole day getting ready for a game in college. So to do that twice, like you take half a day, get ready, and then take the other half of the day, you have like an hour to decompress, then you gotta take a shower, then you gotta start scout again, then you gotta start mentally preparing. And so it was just exhausting. And then the airport fiasco was atrocious. Like, Todd did us dirty with that crap. Like, we were there at the airport, and I think the flight got delayed like 3 times when we were leaving. And we were like, we got there on time, like we finished the game, we were like, oh, we won, like it's great, we're making steps, we're moving forward. And then we got there and we were like, oh, the flight's delayed now, no big deal, like we'll just go get some food, sit down. But there wasn't a lot of food, so we were like, okay, we'll just wait till we get there. Flight gets delayed again, and we were like, okay, like it's 8 p.m. now, we're not gonna get there till 11 p.m. And then the flight gets delayed again, and we were like, that's it at this point. It's like people are setting up shop, they're taking up pillows, like they're laying on the suitcases. And so we finally get on the plane, and we get to, I don't even know where we were, and he hadn't told everybody that he wanted us to stay in the airport. So like 5 people stayed in the terminal, and everybody else left. And so they're in the terminal, like, where are you guys at? We're like, about to get an Uber, it's time to go to the hotel. And he's like, no, we were gonna sleep in the airport. And we were like, it was not good. So we ended up getting a hotel, sleeping for like maybe 2 hours, literally maybe 2 hours. Got up, got back in the shuttle, went back to the airport, and it was like, don't talk to me. Don't, like, we're just trying to get on the plane. Like, we need to eat something, because we hadn't eaten in like 9 hours, because we'd been up all that time, but everything was closed. So as soon as stuff opened, we were running, like going to get Dunkin' or Starbucks or something, because we were starving. And then we just got on the plane, and it was like everybody was knocked. And then we finally got home, because you're supposed to get home Saturday night. We didn't get home till Sunday mid-afternoon. Like, it was great. But that was one of the most memorable trips for that reason, and other ones. But it was crazy.
And then obviously, you know, you guys as athletes, you guys get to travel and everything like that. Like, but like obviously, besides that whole fiasco, like, what's it like being able to like travel like just the country, like with some of like your closest friends, and like obviously play a sport that you love? Like, what's that like? It's
the best. Like, it is one of the best blessings I have ever received from playing this sport. Like, I would have never thought that I'd be doing this right now, honestly. Like, if you were to ask me all my life leading up to high school, I was like, I didn't play volleyball. I played basketball. I ran track. I did cheer. Like, I danced. I thought volleyball was stupid because that was the only sport I didn't make the team for. So I was like, forget that. Like, I made every other sport team, and I was like, I did make the volleyball team. Screw that. Like, no, I'm not doing that. So when I started playing club, I was 14, but it was my 15th year, and we started traveling. Like, that's when I really started to get the exposure. But when you're doing it at a collegiate level, it's just so much fun. You know what I'm saying? Because people know at your university that you're leaving. Like, you're always walking around wearing this stuff on campus. And I think you're going to places that you know in conference. So it's like, we've been to Wyoming, we've been to Utah, all this stuff. But we get to go like crazy places in the preseason. Like, we're talking about Hawaii next year. We're talking about New York. And so that part is just amazing because it like reminds you you're living life while you're also playing the sport and getting to see how other people live in the midst of you doing something that you've loved for years and years and years. Like, it's an unparalleled experience, honestly. Like, I love it. I think traveling is my favorite part of the season. Like, I love when we're on the road, even though I'm such a homebody and I love being home. But it's like, it's such a rarity. Like, you don't get to do that for a long time. And you don't get to like, oh, we're in the hotel room. Like, hey, let's go hang out. Like, we're going to get ice cream. We're going to DoorDash this. And we're all together in this little hotel. You don't get to do that for a long time. So I think it's just about, it's such a finite experience, and you get to see how other people live and what they like to do and how they eat. And we're all playing volleyball, and it's like, well, your life is like this and my life is like that, and like they're the same but they're different. So it's really, really cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have like a favorite place you've been since traveling with the team?
I mean, arguably it might be Hawaii next year. Like you
For
said.
real, bro.
Yeah.
I've never been, so
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that might be number one, but this far, I don't know.
Yeah, because you guys, like, I remember it was North Carolina, San Diego, I think it was, and then like somewhere up north, right?
Yes, North Carolina, San Francisco, and then we went to Sac State.
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah, I don't know.
Like, because there weren't really any like long trips.
Yeah, we didn't go, like, the longest one we went to was North Carolina, and that was pretty. Like, that
Yeah.
was beautiful. But I've been there before. So a lot of places we've been on these trips, I've been before. Utah I hadn't been to before, but there's not a lot out there. I don't know. Wyoming, not a lot out there either. But Colorado is gorgeous. Colorado State has such a beautiful campus. Like, that's one of my favorite places to go because it's just so green and lush, and like the weather's almost perfect if you go at the right time. So Colorado is one of my favorite places, but probably Hawaii. We end up going to Hawaii for sure, or New York, because I've never been there either.
It's both places are. New York is crazy, but Hawaii is just beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
just to be able to just sit on the beach. Just,
Yes, and we have a girl that's from Hawaii, so she
Yeah.
would like take us to all the.
Taya, right? I think.
No, Mari.
Mari, gotcha.
Yeah,
Mari, yeah.
Sorry, my throat's good.
Oh, good.
How hard is it to balance like student life and athlete life? Like,
I would say it was hard when I was young, but now it's just exhausting. Like, it's not difficult, you just get really tired. Because I've been doing it for so long, I'm used to it. I know, like, when I need to schedule my stuff, when I need to get my work done. Like, it's not uber complicated at this level because you've selected your major, you're taking classes that you like. It's just tiring. And, like, you have to do it because you don't have any other option. And I think that is what's most difficult about it for me. Like, I really struggled with that last year. Like, I didn't have time to do what I wanted because I had to fulfill my obligations. Like, we had practice, we had weights. I had to do my homework because if I don't do my homework, like, I won't be eligible. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of, like, dynamic is not my favorite. Like, I've learned to adjust to it and be more content with it now. But the hardest part about it is that it's just so demanding. Like, if you're taking, like, a biology, or if you're a biology major, I'm sure it's going to be a lot more stressful because a lot of your time is basically going to be volleyball or whatever your sport is. And then the other half of the time, you're always at school because you got to do labs, you're making stuff up. But it's different when your major is more communicative and it's, like, more liberal, you know what I'm saying? Because then you can set up the structure around that. But those kind of hardcore classes, you have to be in class for. So I think being able to set up my schedule where, like, I'm all online in season is huge because otherwise, like, I'm missing 80% of the class anyways. Like, I'm just not there. And that's how girls were this semester. But you just have to get used to being exhausted, Loki. And that's hard. But once you get used to it, it's like, I'm either going to be exhausted or I'm not going to play my sport. And I'm not going to not play my sport. So it's like, I'll just be tired.
So then, like, what do you think about, like obviously, like, people who don't know, like, the athletic world and everything like that? What do you think about, like, the people who say that athletes choose like easy majors just to get along with everything like that. But obviously, it's a whole different side of things. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of conversations with athletes that didn't want to pick the major that they're in, but their sport kind of made them. You know what I'm saying? Just because of the time commitment. And so I think that is a stereotype, and a lot of not a lot, but some students do that. Like, they're trying to take the easy way out. But most of the students that I know, like on my team and at my previous school, they don't do that. You know what I'm saying? They're sacrificing their time, their free time, and all that stuff to get the degree that they want. And I had to sacrifice the degree that I wanted for volleyball because I wanted to major in dance. But dance class is at practice time, so I couldn't have done it either way. Because I came and declared molecular biology, and I was like, I just don't like this. Like, it's not that I couldn't do the work, because it was challenging, but like, I just didn't like it. And so I didn't want to do the work because I didn't like it. So I was like, all right, I need to find something that I like. And as soon as I found dance as an option, I was like, this is the best of both worlds. But they were like, oh, class time is from 12:30 to 4. I was like, that's my practice block. I was like, that's so unfortunate. So I like to talk. And so I was like, communications is something that I could use. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see myself using my voice, being more of a public figure when I move on. So I didn't do it just because it was like the easiest route. You know what I'm saying? I do it because I see it assisting myself. But I think if you were to assume that about an athlete, like that they're picking an easy major because they're doing athletics, well, first of all, you try it. I think you come over here and step in our shoes and do it. And second of all, don't do that, because, you know, the saying that says assuming makes an A-double-S out of you and me. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what their story is and why they're doing that. So I think you should just get to know them first. I mean, like, you don't know what it's like. You really don't know what it's like.
My next question is, someone who's always at the games and really loud is your mom.
Yes.
What do you have to say about her support for you, and how has she been like throughout your career?
Yeah, she literally just left this morning, but she's been like that my whole life. Like, my mom, she never forced me to play sports. She never was like, she was like, I don't care what you do. I just want you to do it well. And she was like, obviously at that time, she was like, you just have to get good grades. I don't care what else you do. But my parents got divorced when I was little, so it's always just been me and my mom for the most part, because she got primary custody. And so, she just has always made her presence known. I can't really put into words what that woman has done for me. Like, I've tried so many times and done it, of course, on special occasions, just when we've been talking. But she is the reason, next to God, that I am so solid, that I'm able to like be ranked nationally for blocking, that I'm able to be so confident, that I'm able to even be here and just playing the sport and doing everything that I love. Like, she would give her life for me, and she has over and over again in multiple different facets. And so hearing her scream and shout all the time, it's like just the norm for me, honestly. But I look for her when I'm at the game. Like, if I look up and it's like 10 minutes and she's not there, I'm like, where's my mother? Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? And I've been doing that since I was in high school, and she would work like across town, and she would come to every game and all that stuff. And like, she would, so when I could drive, I would even be like, Mom, you're gonna come to club practice? She was like, girl, you can drive. No, I'm not coming to club practice. I was like, please, like, I just want you to sit there. You know what I'm saying? She's just like someone I always want to be around. And she's my mother, but we really are best friends. Like, we have that healthy, distinct boundary line between like, this is my mom and I respect her, she's my elder, like, I'm gonna do what she's gonna, well, yeah, more or less so now that I'm a little bit older. But that line, and like, we really have developed a friendship. So it means a lot to me that she has just been a giver my entire life. That's what she's done. And so her support is just, I can't really put words to it.
Yeah, and then you played a couple games at Portland, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I played, so the first year I played, like, technically didn't count.
Yeah.
But the second year I played, that year counted. That was technically my freshman year. And it was just a lot of BS, honestly. Like, it was...
Yeah.
Like, when I talked to that head coach there, she was like, the program, like, we're in need and we want to grow and we want to get better, but we need someone to lead that. And I was like, okay, well, if the girls want to do it, I'm game. Like, you know what I'm saying? If they're not going to be like, oh, who's this freshman? Da-da-da-da-da. Like, we don't want to do that. Like, be resistant to it. Then I was like, fine, I will come. I will help the program. It was exactly that. Yeah. And she was scared to change the program. She was scared to develop her own, I guess you could say like pull herself up by her britches, because she played in the WCC and was a middle, and like kind of had a similar experience to me where she was ostracized by her team because she was so driven and she was so purposeful and so intentional and so serious about her sport. And so it was difficult for me because I was like, how are you going to sit here and watch what happened to you happen to me and not do anything about it? And then expect me to be like, yeah, I'll come back for 4 more years. No, girl, are you dumb? I'm not coming back for 4 more years. Like, why would I do that? And you expect me to trust you. So I think playing there, it was cool. I mean, I played right side my first year because for some reason, I like just wanted to get out of the middle. Like, I just was like, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it. And then right after that, they were talking about playing me in the middle. Like, I got recruited as a middle, so everyone knew. But I guess they didn't really know. And like our other middle got concussed. Like right at the beginning of double days at the beginning of the 2021 fall season. And they're like, okay, you have to play middle now. And I was like, all right, fine. Like I've done it my whole life. So I was like, this isn't hard for me to switch. Right side was more difficult because I was like, I'm not as comfortable. It's a higher tempo ball, all that stuff. And so I played middle, and like I had like the practice of my life that game. And they were like, where? And I was like, I told you guys, like I played middle. Like Coach Burton just said I could play right side. And they were like, what the frick? Like, why were you ever on the right side? I was like, because she said I could. Like, you know what I'm saying? So ever since then, I have been relegated to the middle. But it's okay. I love it there.
Yeah. And then, when you were in Portland, like, was your mom there too? Like,
yes.
Did you go to the games?
Yeah, so my first year, like, they were super, super COVID strict. So, like, you couldn't come in, nobody could come out. But after that, my mom moved to Vancouver, Washington, which is just like 15 minutes. Because I was having such a hard time processing all that stuff that was going on and not getting any support from my coaches. And I was like, Mom, I need you to come. Like, I can't do it by myself right now. And so she came, and she was there from January 2021 until, oh my gosh, last year. Like, because she didn't leave out of Portland until, there's no way that was this year. I don't know, but she was there and up until about 6 or 7 months ago, where she moved back to Arizona. And so she was there with me. So like every home game we had, she was there. And sometimes she would travel like to the close ones and stuff like that. But yeah, she's always made her presence known. And I get it honest from her.
And then would you say did it take like any of the girls from here like a lot of like time to get used to that?
No, they love it. Everybody loves it. Everyone's like, gee, I love your mom. Like if she walks in and she comes, like if she's coming for a weekend to watch us play and she walks in, they're like, oh my gosh, like they don't even look at me. They're like, geez, Mom, and they just like give her a hug and talk and all that stuff. And I'm like, yo, back up, like that's my mom. But like honestly, not really. But like everyone loves her. Like the coaches love her, everybody loved my mom. And they were like, when I committed in December last year, Trent was like, I don't know who I like more, you or your mom. And I was like, LOL, it's fine. You can like her more. It's whatever. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But everyone loves her. Like, they just love the support, love the cheering. And it's not just because it's like, it may look like on the outside it's just the cheering, but it's really personal. Like, she has a relationship with a lot of my teammates and has been there for them in a lot of hard places and spots in their lives, because they've trusted me with that information, and then they've trusted my mom. And so it's more than just like her screaming and stuff like that. Like my mom is really in a lot of the girls' corners.
Another question I have is, how was the experience this year with Todd Kress and his first year as a head coach? First year as a head coach here, I should say.
Yeah. I think it's still kind of fresh, so I don't know what word to put on it, but I think it was interesting. I mean, I had a great time with him off the court, and I think we had some success a lot of the time on the court. We just weren't able to pull out the W 90% of those times. So it made it very frustrating. It made it very tight and like with a lot of tension, because it's like he's not used to losing. We're not used to losing. Like, we were the Mountain West runner-up last year. So it's like, what's going on? Like, we need to figure that out. But I think having Todd come in, it was honestly a godsend in my opinion, because I kind of touched on this earlier, but I wasn't too keen about the coaching staff last year 100%. There were just some things that I picked up on that were not equitable, and I didn't appreciate. And so I was having a hard time deciding whether or not I was going to transfer out again for my graduate year, because I was like, I don't really know if I want to stick around for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, winning is great, but I don't want to win at the expense of myself or other teammates not being treated the same way, you know? And so with Todd Kress, that completely went out the window. And so that was amazing, because he was definitely more equitable and more like, I'm not going to pick favorites. I'm not going to do all that stuff. So that was great. But it's just like, it's hard to be satisfied with the season when you're naturally winners and you don't win. And so I think having Todd and Melissa was a blast personally, but like business wise, it wasn't that good. You know what I'm saying? And everybody would say that. And I don't think I've established firm what it is that led to that. And so I don't know if they have either. Like, we have end of the year meetings soon, but like, it's just, if you want to win and you don't, it's never going to be fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can have fun during the process, but it's like, we didn't handle business. So like, you're not going to be 100% satisfied.
Yeah. And then I think, like, you know, a couple more questions. So overall, like what do you think is like next steps for next season, and like being able to like obviously make a change and possibly even like, you know, be those Mountain West runner-ups or even those champions?
Mm-hmm. I think that we have to set a new standard. I think we came into this year with a lot of returners from last year, and we had a strong standard last year, and we kind of just let that be the overarching force and didn't really enforce it. And so I think we have to redesign San Jose State volleyball. And that's not saying we scrap everything that we've ever had, because I'm saying that what we had was really successful. Like, it helped us be really successful in terms of winning and like relationships. And so I think we just have to redefine what it looks like to be a Spartan and what it looks like to be a Spartan volleyball player under Coach Todd Kress, because we kind of did hybrid. We'd kind of left what was from last year, kind of did a little bit of what he wanted, kind of did, kind of didn't. So it was kind of like this back and forth, this kind of like, you know, those little chairs that kind of go like this if you move them, or those tables. It was just kind of like that instead of like this, because you can't build on something that's doing this all the time. So I just think we have to establish a firm foundation, and we have to do it early. And I think we have to get the right leaders in there. And I don't think there's anyone that's not willing to be accountable, hold and listen to the standard that we're going to set. I think we didn't have the right leadership to help enforce that this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that was everything that we had. I mean, you were a blast to have on, and you were a blast to talk to.
This was so much fun. I appreciate you guys bringing me out.
Yeah, we appreciate you for taking time out of your day and coming on.
Yeah thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. And, of course, thank you again to Jiana Lawson for being the first student athlete on SpearCast.
Hopefully we'll get more eventually. But you know what? I mean, it's still little podcast. But you know what? We're moving up. Moving up.
We'll catch you guys next week. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
By the time of this episode, it'll be the next day over.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I've been your host, Nick.
I'm Christian.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.